All right, guys, it looks like we're in business now. We're ready to go. Welcome back, everyone, to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, a weekly show that focuses on Xbox talk and, of course, more from around the gaming industry, Sony, Nintendo, PC, other stuff, right? But mostly Xbox talk, of course. This is show number 257. Of course, I'm Invader, and I am really happy to see you all here. We've got a lot to go over tonight. Of course, we're going to talk about the Xbox Developer Direct. It's been rumored for a while, and now it's finally been announced. Also, Google and NVIDIA are seemingly getting into the fight between Microsoft and the FTC battle. How come? Why is that? Well, we will go into those details and so much more. But first, let me go through some quick introductions with the show panel, starting off with General MLD. Pal, great to have you back on.
Oh yeah, great to be here. I always love just chatting with the guys and just all about things Xbox. Lately just been playing. I played Far Cry 6, beat that. Personally, not my favorite game in the series. I prefer maybe 4 and 5 and 3 to that, but I still had fun. And now just think I might try Callisto Protocol before Dead Space. So yeah, that's me.
All right, very good. Yeah, I've always heard a bunch of mixed things about Far Cry 6. I mean, graphically it looks pretty good, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, MLD. I'm just kind of gone away from, I guess, Ubisoft titles in general. They always make them so much larger and whatnot, but I don't know, even the Far Cry games, I've just kind of gotten away from, in my opinion anyways, what kind of made them, special. But hey, that's just my take. Let's see. Moving on down the stretch, Eric Shockley, buddy. Great to see you tonight. How's the week been treating you?
Pretty good. Just been getting into some more Persona. Getting ready for. They'll probably have to leave that because I definitely dig the music with Persona 4 Golden, so I'm a sucker for that one. So I'll probably jump into that once it drops and probably push that to completion and come back to P5. But just doing that and trying to finish the rest of the Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Finally knocked that one out, but ready to get into these topics. But yeah, ready to go. Good playoff weekend in the States. But yep, ready to get in these topics tonight.
Yeah, lots of NFL games going on right now. I'm sure Timmy's having a little bit of a party right now with his Giants. Oh man. Again, I don't keep up with a lot of NFL scores and stats, to be honest with you guys, but we'll see if Timmy makes it in tonight. He's probably having a good time. Moving on down the list, Crusader, pal, how you been? How's the gaming?
I'm good. I've been playing a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition. A lot of Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, do tell.
I have completed basically all of the open world areas of the game without doing anything in the main story. I haven't really started the second act of the game, and yet I've killed, for anyone who has played, I've killed all 10 of the high dragons that are in the base game. They're like kind of like the secret bosses.
Oh, okay. So there's different dragons that you can find throughout the game that are just kind of hidden away.
Yeah. And basically all I've been doing is playing Dragon Age Inquisition in my gaming time. I'm actually playing a little bit of Vampire Survivors to get some achievements in because of the way I'm playing Dragon Age, I can't get my daily achievement for the reward points.
Oh yes, you gotta grind those out.
Yeah, well, I have enough right now to get $100 on the Microsoft Store. So.
Ooh, hey, every little bit helps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, I always try to get an achievement or two. In Vampire Survivors is my I need to get an achievement in a game.
Yeah.
It has 1 billion.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. The base game has 130 some, I think. With the DLC, it's 159.
Ooh, wow. Oh, the
Now,
achievement
it's
hunters
not
must go
like
nuts.
a ton of like gamer score, but there's just a lot of achievements in it.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say the achievement hunters must go nuts with that stuff because if it's only like 5G worth for, every little thing, then it's a little annoying when there's that many.
That's basically what it is.
Yee. Alright. Well, now again, it's in Game Pass, right? So maybe one of these days I'll check it out. One of these
Now, none
days.
of them are hard. It's just like complete a game with a character or level up a weapon.
Well, that's apparently the new crack these days for the past month, Vampire Survivors. So, yeah, maybe I should give that a go. We'll see. I mean, if you recommend it, then I'll give it a go.
I love it.
All right, I'll have to download it then. Moving on down here, rounding out the crew, Centurion, buddy, pal, how's things at your end? Been gaming much?
Oh yeah, definitely. What can I say? I've been putting in way too much time into Marvel Midnight Suns. I've pretty much maxed out, at least for the most part, all my friendship with the other heroes, to where I was able to unlock their legendary abilities, all their Midnight Suns skins. Did all that before I completed part 1. Had no idea that this game was going to be longer than I thought it'd be. And then all of a sudden another region opens up and you get new heroes and all sorts of stuff starting to happen now. And I'm like, well, shit, freaking, I've been playing this game pretty hard and I have no complaints. I mean, it's definitely out of left field for me. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I didn't think I'd be putting this much time and effort into it. So it's definitely a pleasant surprise for me to find a game and a type of game that I'm actually enjoying, because I mean, like, we're all used to the first-person shooters, the third-person over-the-shoulder adventure games, and this was something completely new for me, so I've been having a lot of fun with it. But we got some great topics tonight, and I'm excited to kind of dive into them and hear everybody's opinions.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, pal, and that's great that you're having such a good time with Midnight Suns. I've been seeing some good talk about it. I remember us chatting a bit about it on the last show. I actually feel kind of bad. We were chatting before the show started because we had talked about hitting up Ghostbusters, the new co-op one that came out a few months ago. I just got it for Christmas.
I'll definitely jump into that with you. It's another fun game.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say? It's definitely something to play with friends. I mean, you can play it by yourself, but it's definitely one of those games you want to enjoy with friends.
Yeah, no, of course, and it seems like a very I'm a Ghostbusters dork from since I was younger, so I definitely want to hit this up. We'll arrange something sometime soon. Believe me, we will. Just sometimes I don't know what I was doing Monday. I don't know, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then you just kind of lose track of things, I guess. I don't even know if I did any gaming on Monday. Oh, well, whatever. We'll work it out.
With the time difference between you and I.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But we will work it out. Don't you worry, pal. We will. Let's see. We got lots of awesome people here in the chat. Hey, Z Blackrider, Anthony, other Zinc, Thimber, buddy. Great to see you all here and more tuning in. Guys, a reminder to all of you, all of our valued listeners, to hit up that like button, since YouTube algorithms can be kind of funky at times, to be honest. And hey, if you're new here, sub to the channel, as we would be delighted to have you around, and share this show out, guys. Let everybody know that we're live. All right. Why don't we get straight into things, fellas? Over the past month, we have been hearing about, well, some kind of early year show. We've been kind of wondering what the general silence from, like, Microsoft, what's been going on, right? And we've been talking about it, discussing that, hey, we've been hearing things about a possible show coming from them early on in the year. Well, hey, good things come to those who wait, it seems, right? Xbox has finally announced the Xbox Developer Direct, highlighting Xbox and Bethesda games scheduled to release, well, presumably in the next few months, I would assume, at least before E3 anyways. I know everyone wants to chime in here about especially like different aspects of this, but hey, I'll start off with general MLD. But hey, it's finally official. And what are your thoughts on the announcement? And hey, what could we possibly be seeing here?
Oh, well, I think it's a breath of fresh air because first week of the new year goes by and everyone gets a little bit antsy online. So I'm glad they finally broke the silence and they announced a date. Also, a nice shout out to the leakers beforehand who, alleviated our concerns with their own news breaking out about it. So I like this new format. It's more like a developer direct. So there's no hosts. So none of this filler that, like, I think even now the executives know that gamers online, we don't really want that kind of stuff. Just show us what we want to see. Show us games, talk about the games, give us the details. And that's exactly what we're going to get. They were very transparent, so that's also exactly what we wanted. They said it'll be about 43 minutes, which is longer than I personally expected it to be. I thought it'd be like a 20-minute kind of thing, but it's more. So that's great news there. So they're not going to show like 3-minute trailers or something. They're going to show a lot more than what we thought. So Redfall, Minecraft Legends, let's see, Elder Scrolls Online, and Forza Motorsport are the 4 main games. And presumably we're going to get release dates as well, which is very good news because that's also the primary concern that we have among us Xbox fans, because we have all these games coming out this year, like at least like a 6, a dozen, all these things, but no concrete release dates. So they're doing exactly what we're asking, and that is just, it's so nice to see that. Now, they set expectations pretty well. So I'm hoping like for maybe Age of Empires 2, because that's coming out at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. Maybe rumors of GoldenEye. But if they're not there, if they're somewhere separate, hey, that's fine. Because again, they set expectations pretty well. And they also announced that Starfield will get its own show. And I think saying this beforehand was a very smart move. If they didn't say this, we would all be expecting it. And when Starfield wouldn't show up, everyone would just be talking about that. That's all it would be. Everything else would be irrelevant. This way, Starfield gets his own show because Todd Howard, he loves the spotlight. That's how he did it with Fallout 4. He had like a half an hour or so demonstration, and he talked everyone's ears off, and everyone loved every word he said. That is what it should be. So I'm glad that they're giving Starfield the space it deserves, so it doesn't overshadow the rest. My only speculation or concern is the dates. Now, I don't think January, February, that if any game comes out in that time period, that would be very, very fortunate. Maybe Minecraft Legends, maybe. But I'm thinking it might be 1 game per month. Like, personally, my personal prediction, Minecraft in March, Forza in April, Redfall in May, and Starfield in June. But again, I guess we'll get more information on the 25th. But overall, though, it's a great first step of the year. We're getting information, we're getting gameplay, exactly what we wanted. So I'm pretty happy. I'm excited for what we're going to see.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you there. I mean, I'm pretty excited. I'm kind of wondering where these games kind of fall in with the release schedule. I was kind of wondering about Forza Motorsport myself, but hey, I mean, it seems to be coming up pretty soon. Let's see. Yeah, Forza, Redfall, Minecraft Legends. I know they were talking about some new stuff for Elder Scrolls Online. It's gonna be an interesting schedule. I mean, we're already into January, so very, very curious. Centurion Pal, I would love to know your thoughts here. We basically know what kind of games are going to be showing up. Is there anything in particular that you're really interested in hearing about?
So this is where I was wanting to kind of let everybody go first, but what the hell, I'll just go now. Yeah, let me just put it out there that I am an Xbox fan. I love Xbox. I love Phil Spencer as a leader for a corporate brand. But that being said, I kind of fall on probably a different hill, a different sword when it comes to this whole situation. that I tweeted it out the other day. I have not felt any concerns about the Xbox brand. I have not felt any concerns about games being released. I have a million freaking games to play. I play on what I want when I want. And for me, yeah, I can see what a lot of people are wanting when it comes to the Xbox brand directly, but that's where I'm not going to go into this event with a huge checklist of all these boxes that need to be checked off for me to feel that this event meant anything to me, because I've been participating in a January event for years now. Like, this is like, it's kind of interesting to me because this event is all of a sudden being spotlighted when I've been watching this event around this time of year every single year for years. This is something that was started by ZeniMax, and it was the Elder Scrolls Direct. The funny part is the Elder Scrolls Direct takes place after this event. So there's going to be 43 minutes of Xbox eccentric stuff. And they are going to mention Elder Scrolls Online, but after the event, the actual ZeniMax Elder Scrolls Online Direct starts for me, which is going to start breaking down what me as a fan of Elder Scrolls is going to receive for the next year, the next expansion of the game, the next region we're going to play, the updates that we're going to get. And this is where I've always just enjoyed what ZeniMax has to offer. In my little realm of playing Elder Scrolls Online with the community, there has been community expectations where they're all demanding a new class because we've only received like 2 classes since the game came out, with the Warden and the Necromancer. We've always gotten major expansions, new regions, great gameplay. But there is a lot of people asking for a new class of some kind, and then everybody always throws their hat in the ring for the class that they're wanting. But that's where I feel it's great that there's a bigger spotlight now on Elder Scrolls Online directly. A lot more people are going to know about this direct that's actually been taking place for years. And now we've got Xbox throwing some stuff on top of it. But I'm not going to walk into like the whole Xbox side of the event expecting A, B, and C. Like, for me, like, I'm just going to be blunt. I made the joke to a few friends of mine that lately, this isn't a diss towards anybody, but it seems like the Xbox fans are starting to act a lot more like the WWE fans did back in the day when John Cena was becoming pretty famous, and they had all the signs that said if John Cena becomes champion, we riot. And that's where it's like, I enjoy the games that are offered. I'm not going to say that this game has to come out at this time, or they have to do this, they have to do that. I'm going to be grateful to all the game developers for what they have to offer me as a consumer. And yeah, that's where I'm excited that there is going to be an event, but not at any time have I felt that Xbox needs to have this event. Otherwise, I'm just gonna set my Xbox on fire and say fuck it. And that's where, you know, this is going to be an interesting show. I'm going to be curious what people are going to do after this show. Or is this show going to meet their expectations? Is there going to be people that feel that there's going to need to be more? You know, I could go on about this I want to leave it at just appreciate what's coming out no matter what's happening. Because I have to say that I've always had this ideal that if you really want to predict when these games are coming out, look at the stalls or the stagnant points in Game Pass. As much as everybody doesn't want to admit it, Game Pass is a big focal point for Xbox. And they are not going to start stacking multiple games in Game Pass when they could stretch it out longer. And me and the guys I game with, we had a big chat about it, and we noticed about 2 weeks ago that there was a big gap in May. And now all of a sudden we're starting to see the rumors that Redfall is coming out in May and that it's almost guaranteed. And the funny part is we could sit there and have these discussions on, hey, this game, February, we got Atomic Heart. And I know here soon we're supposed to get Monster Hunter Rise. March, we're going to have Shockley, Wolong. There we go. Wolong in March.
Team Ninja, yeah.
Yeah, and then I forget, there's one in April that we all were starting to try to debate about. I remember somebody mentioning something in April, but that's when we noticed, like, after April, it gets real spotty. And that's where I was like, okay, May, something's coming out in May. And then all of a sudden the rumors start circulating about Redfall. And that's where they're going to use these games to keep Game Pass going in between the third-party deals that they do. Because third-party deals,
a commitment to release that stuff in these 6 months. Right?
And
if it's past June, they've broken that commitment.
keep in mind too, there's a wild card here as well, as it just mentioned in the chat.
With filling the gaps, but they got to fill the gaps within their commitments.
See, that's the funny part, that I hold to commitments. How would you feel if your employer held you to a standard where they hung on every single word you said and you had no forgiveness whatsoever? I'm never going to treat anybody outside of the way I want to be treated, and I live my life on the concept that shit happens and mistakes can be made, and I'm not going to freaking build up the firewood and start firing up the cross.
Yeah, you got a point.
Sure,
like, if Starfield is
that's
July.
like, it's not like we're coming off of a great year. Like, we're coming off of what happened in 2022. Like, it's.
But I don't live my life exclusively on the Xbox
to move their commitments to 2023.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, we're seeing. Well, again, what we're seeing, and I agree with what Centurion's saying, and you too, Crusader. I'm just saying that. I mean, if you're like playing on a whole bunch of the systems, I mean, you're pretty happy most of the time, right? Because you got different stuff to look forward to. Specifically looking at Xbox, I mean, yeah, we kind of want to forget last year,
it's
but
great.
But I mean, looking forward to this year, I mean, hey guys, the dam is about to burst. Honestly,
I know, it's great, and I'm happy that they confirmed that at least 3 of the 4 are going to hit the next few months.
Yeah, that's basically what they're confirming. And again, I want to mention this in the chat because I was going to bring this up. We don't know. Remember, Ghostwire Tokyo will arrive.
It'll be out in March.
It'll be out in March. Late March, probably, right? So.
Yeah, it'll be out 365 days to the PlayStation launch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, like, there are some wild cards here as far as that. I mean, that is a very good thing too. Shockley, buddy, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, we've been talking about this rumored, now confirmed show or direct for a while now. I don't know, what are you hoping to see at it? And what kind of style do you see them taking with it? Do you think they're gonna go like more of like a Nintendo Direct kind of a style?
Probably something like that, but obviously this one, I think they might have it more like developers, talking about the game.
Yeah.
Whereas they usually just have like a Nintendo, they just usually have like an announcer like narrating the whole thing. And those are like a lot quicker. Usually they don't spend too much time unless it's like a set direct for one specific game. But yeah, hopefully we'll see kind of like I think what we talked about one of the prior weeks of, just a little bit more in what goes on with Redfall, because that's what there is, that notion of how a lot of us thought it was like, is it like a Left 4 Dead type of thing, but with like vampires? So a lot of people kind of had that perceived notion of it, and now we're starting to see, and they're starting to tell us, hey, it's actually going to be more like one of the earlier like Far Cry games, that kind of style. So just to see visually, kind of see like, oh, okay, this is what they mean by that, or like here's the other part of the world, other than just like showing us, at least from what I've seen, going into a city where you're, it's dark and there's every so often from what I've seen, like, vampire or somebody would pop out, or you're fighting them, or kind of like a boss. But maybe, I don't know, just to show us a little bit more of the world, I guess, because it still kind of seems they haven't shown that much of it, even though they have shown a bunch of footage. But yeah, hopefully we'll see that. And I think the other one I'm hyped for was it Forza that's supposed to be at this one?
Yeah.
Motorsport.
Okay.
Forza,
I'm definitely
Redfall.
excited to see what they do with that one.
Yeah.
Just because this will be a next gen only versus like we saw like GT7 was cross gen, just to see if there's any uptick on this, or how much of the ray tracing they're able to get into this, where people thought like GT7 was going to be ray tracing end game, but then ended up just being like in the video mode or like replay mode. So just see visual quality, and hopefully the competitive part, because that is one part Gran Turismo has had a one up on them, in the sense of in their since GT Sport, with their competitive and ranking system, where you get a little bit more driving etiquette on Gran Turismo, so they have that one up on Forza in that aspect. But so if they can match that quality, and obviously being next gen only, they had the luxury of just only working for higher end PCs and Series X, Series S consoles. Well, hopefully we'll see what Turn 10 can do. Plus, this is the first time they've ever, other than maybe the first one, that they've spent like 3 or plus years on a Forza game. And in between, they've code developed the Forza Horizon games in between, dropping their games every 2 years and keeping, high quality on their, other than like Forza 5, which was kind of just pushed out the door real quick for the Xbox One console. But other than that one, I think those are the two I'm most excited about. I like Elder Scrolls. I played the shit out of all the single player games, but I just never got into the online. So that part I don't really care to see. And I think the other part's Minecraft Legends. So I don't really care to see those two. So I'll probably just snoozing past those two, and then just watching the Redfall and Forza stream part of it. So.
Well, there's always the possibility that we might see a quick trailer for something new. Maybe.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping maybe just like at least a teaser of like, later this year they're showing off more Hellblade or something. Just if they can give us that kind of like roadmap of like, obviously they're going to have probably other surprises they want to hold close to their chest to hopefully that they have surprises to show us in June.
Well,
but it'd be cool to be like, here's more gameplays coming, at E3 for Hellblade. So people are like, oh, cool, we're going to see some stuff. Just to give.
I think the best you get is Starfield, is them announcing the date for the Starfield event in that regard.
Yeah.
Because it really sounds like this is just going to be like the next 2 quarters.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
It'd just
Starfield.
Be cool if we get some part of a roadmap, but obviously they're going to do that in June. So, but
yeah.
Well,
I feel like they just owe us one little tidbit, if they can, just of one game, just that's not going to be releasing in this quarter. Just like, hey, not that it's going to be releasing, but hey, we're going to show off some stuff here in the coming months. Just because how barren the year was last year, like, just to give people like, okay, cool. It's not just going to be Starfield and Redfall that were supposed to come out last year, and then that's it, and then we'll show stuff at E3, and then won't have anything releasing until 2024. Because I think that's where people are kind of like still antsy and kind of pissed off.
We still don't know anything for the fall.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering when they showed off some of these games, I mean, look at Avowed. Avowed was back in 2020 when we first found out about it. So
yeah, and it was already in development for a bit.
Yeah, maybe E3 for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, but don't get there was some information that came out a week or 2 ago that Jeff Grubb was hinting that we might see a smaller project from Tango Games make an appearance. So
yeah, I think that his information is based on basically this is going to be a series, and that's going to be at one of them. I don't think it's going to be at this one.
Oh, okay.
Based on how he was talking, he knew that there was going to be like developer directs. I don't unless it's coming out real soon. That could be a surprise release, but they didn't even list Tango as like.
Yeah,
It's
they
true.
would have
Going to
listed
be
because
here.
they listed all the other developers that are actually going to be
Yeah,
there.
I really think it's only going to be the developers that are
Those,
explicitly stated as being there, and maybe the Game Pass announcements for.
Definitely need release dates for Redfall from this, and at least a release window of like, hey, Forza's coming this November or something, or this fall.
What?
So at least
It's
cool.
supposed to be coming
That's
this
one
spring.
we can count. Oh,
That would
really?
be weird.
Okay, even better.
Yeah,
but
well,
if not, at
all
least
So-
say,
it's coming
hey,
in the next few months.
So
don't
that's
just say Forza Motorsport and then in the trailer, and then it's is it even coming this year? I don't want that.
So that's going to be the big question: is where do we slot in these games? If they're coming, let's say, all before June, or up until June, when do we see them drop? Like Crusader, I mean, I'll hit you up first here. Like,
Yeah.
when do you think that we'll see like an order? Like, what kind of an order do you see here?
Well, I'm almost. I agree. Like Redfall was either going to hit April or May. It's going to be May.
Yeah.
It was delayed 6 weeks. I don't know the exact reason for the delay. It was delayed internally for 6 weeks. I don't know if it's a marketing reason, like Forspoken being delayed out of God of War's window was a marketing reason, or if they just needed a little bit more time for polish. No idea why it was internally delayed. I just know that it was originally targeting April or late March or something like that. Forza is the hardest one for me to place because it has direct competition with itself from Microsoft, because we still have the Forza Horizon DLC to come out.
Yes, that's correct.
Which, did they say explicitly it's turn 10 at this event? That's one thing I didn't look into. Did they say explicitly it's turn
Yes,
10, or did they say Forza?
I think turn 10.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
that's
I saw
really
that.
interesting, because that means that we're still not going to hear about that Horizon Forza Horizon DLC at this probably, which is also due out this spring. And like those two being like direct competition with each other is really weird. But they did say these are coming out over the next couple months, so I would assume that all of them are still on track to hit.
And they specifically said Forza Motorsport, and it has Turn 10's logo. Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to say where they slot in, but at least these three, you can Minecraft Legends, Redfall, and Forza Motorsport, you can at least say that those three are going to hit. They're going to stay within the promised quarter 1, quarter 2, 12 months from E3 promise date.
So
Starfield's the interesting question with that announcement, because depending on how you read, Microsoft's really bad at wording things. Always have been. They've always gotten into trouble with not being precise enough. Now, granted, all of the companies are, but they've had the problem where they aren't precise enough, and because there has only ever been they've never had they haven't had a blowout year since 2008, like an absolute blowout, I should say. They've had some pretty good years since 2008, but 2008 was that blowout. That was the Halo 3 year, right? That was 2008, or was that 2007?
7.
Yeah, 2007 was their blowout year, and that's what this year is shaping up to look like it's going to be. But because they haven't really had that consistently, they always have the problem with precision, with not being precise and letting people down, which is why I hound them for precision and keeping up to commitments, because I want to get into a place where I don't even have to listen to what they say, and I just know that there's going to be a consistent schedule of releases. But since 2020, there's been either great months or bad months straight. You know what I mean? And so that's why I hound them, because I want them to get their messaging straight and correct and get into this consistent rhythm, so that I, as a consumer, know that no matter what, my Game Pass subscription will never have. It might have slight ups and downs, but won't have huge ups and downs. Because last year it was pretty down until the end of it. It was pretty up after September, but March through August was not as good. So I want to get into this sinus rhythm.
we got to look at
predictable heartbeat.
No, and you're right. We got to look at what they have for third party too, right? Because again, Game Pass plays a huge role into that.
They do have some great stuff. It's just that commitment of their them promising all of their first party stuff's going to come in day one doesn't really mean anything if it's not coming. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, there's always the anticipation.
A big part of the sales commitment is you don't have to worry about them licensing third-party stuff as much because they should have a regular rhythm, and the third-party stuff is on top of that, and it's great and it's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be honest,
because the only thing you can really trust is what they themselves are going to deliver. The same thing's true with Netflix, Disney, whatever have you, with all of those services, right? The only thing you can really ever trust coming to them is what they produce internally. Mm-hmm. They might bring some cool external stuff and license it, but you can't trust that is always going to cover your ass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I am. I just want them to be in a consistent place where, I don't even have to worry about their marketing anymore because it doesn't matter. I just show up and there'll be a new game on Game Pass. And that's why, I was hounding them. I don't know if anyone was following me on Monday. I'm watching my Twitter. I was hounding them about the potential of Starfield not being there. And it's fine if it wasn't going to be there. I'm okay that it's not going to be at this event. They need to set that expectation, because the silence of Starfield would have been louder than anything they showed. It is the most anticipated game I think they've ever had as an organization. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. From the general populace, it is the most anticipated game they've ever had, except for maybe one of the Halo releases, maybe Halo 3.
It's a big one. It's a big one, yeah.
I cannot think of anything that has had such... Tim tweeted out the word and would get 3,000 followers in a day. He would tweet out Starfield and he'd get 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a big deal that not talking about it is louder than talking about it.
So speaking of speaking of Starfield Crusader, because we were kind of talking about it earlier in our group chat, we had seen some information or rumor going around.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, yeah.
At the supposedly, according, I don't know who the original source is, because what the leaker, I put leaker in quotes, he almost never leaks anything himself. He aggregates it from sources like I do, but he then claims it as his own. It's really weird. But usually he aggregates it from places that you don't hear from, so that's fine. Supposedly, Microsoft is going to have an ad presence at the Super Bowl, which is going to be one of two things. I think there are two things that it'll be one or the other, maybe both. It'll either be a Starfield trailer spot, which it easily could be, or it'll be a Game Pass trailer spot, which is my opinion. I think they'll just have an ad for Game Pass at the Super Bowl. Makes sense that they'd have a presence there with one or the other or both. I'm really excited for that Starfield Direct they announced. The only thing I wish they had done better in this messaging was stated whether or not, because they set the expectations that those 3 games are still on track for their prior commitment, right? They in the next few months, they'll be releasing the 3 games that they're going to be talking about. That's paraphrasing, but that's what they said in the article. I wish they would have stated with Starfield not showing up if it was still also on target. I think it is. I can't say for 100% that it is, but I wish they had.
Well, there was the support page that listed it, that reconfirmed it.
And that's the support page is the reason why I think it's still coming. If it's not, then I'm going to be very upset, because they have once again failed to set expectations and let a support page go live in January when they were considering a delay. Right? If they have to know at this point whether they're considering another delay or not. And if they let a support page go live in January without any other official communication, that was all we got. That is horrible expectation setting from the company. And that's the kind of stuff that I hound them about. I want them to be better about, right? And I'm hoping that with the amount of kind of what's the word? Not visibility, transparency that Microsoft gave us with this announcement. Now, granted, I think the only reason they actually told us that Starfield wasn't coming was the internet erupted on Monday about Starfield not being there. Which, fine, perfect. They reacted and set expectations exactly proper as they should have, and I hope they can follow that standard moving forward. But if they let that support page go live and then delay it, I'm going to be a little irritated at their ability to set expectations. Because they should know at this point. And Starfield has been the game of really annoying expectation settings when they, in the middle of the pandemic, set a hard date that they weren't going to miss and then missed it and then delayed it to an arbitrary 2-quarter period from a set date and then just didn't talk about it again until a support page went live, right? That's why I want them to set expectations better. And this is a very good start to the new year with this announcement and them coming out and saying, these are the expectations. Well, that being said, I do think there's a big chance that whenever the Starfield Direct happens, that Phil has always wanted to shadow launch a game in the Game Pass. I don't think they can launch it day of a presentation, personally.
Well, the question is because they're going to have
it within 2 weeks of a presentation.
Well, the reason why
do a Blitzkrieg style ad campaign.
Yeah, well, have they officially put out
prediction?
Have they officially put out like pre-orders? Like I remember there was a leaked like special edition. Like has that actually been official or what?
They have not put out pre-orders for it yet. I'm of the opinion that they can launch it without launching the physical edition. Microsoft has such a small physical install base, and you'd be launching it into Game Pass and digital day one, and then anyone who was playing it on Game Pass can just get their physical copy later. I don't know how the internet would respond to that. I'd be fine with that personally, but I don't buy physical, so I don't really care. If you're a physical enjoyer and that would make you mad, let me know. DM me on Twitter. We can talk about it. I'd be very interested to hear about that. But I'm of the opinion that they could do a Blitzkrieg ad campaign and launch it very quickly after, because Todd loves to do that. Skyrim was announced and launched in a year. Fallout 6 was announced and launched in 6 months. Fallout 4, not Fallout 6. Fallout 4 was announced and launched in 6 months. And 76 was announced and launched in 4 months. So Todd loves showing the game and then having it out. And so I could see them showing the game and releasing it like a month later. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, especially since the game was technically ready to go. I mean, as far as we knew.
And it's really hard to say where they can put that game, right? Because that's the game that's going to be their biggest seller of the year, period. End of story. Nothing's going to come close. Maybe Hellblade in the second half of the year, if Hellblade does come out in the second half of the year. But of the 4 titles that they have, the 4 large titles they have launching in the first half, supposedly, Starfield will be the big seller, right? Forza will probably be behind it. And then the other 2, I don't know where they'll fall. Arcane's never driven millions and millions and millions of gamers to play their games. I don't think Redfall is going to change that. I think it's going to be better because it's going to launch day one into Game Pass. But Starfield's going to be their star. It is. Todd Howard's right. It's their system seller. And that he's in an awkward position where he's now has to make a system seller. And it's really interesting. Like, where do you launch that? Does it go the whole way out to June and they launch it at the very end of June, like Benji Sales and others are predicting? I don't know, because they have some steep competition in June. That's what Final Fantasy 15 is launching.
I'm kind of curious because you look at the support page, right? Because that's supposed to be for late March, if I'm not mistaken.
What, the support page?
Yeah.
The support page says it will be out in the first half of 2023.
Oh, that's all it said? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the first half of 2023. That was what went live.
Oh, okay. I thought it was March.
First week of January.
All right.
So it's really, there was a leaked thing about somewhere in March. And if they did a showcase in February, they could launch it in March. And I think March would probably be the best place to launch it this year.
Good.
You launch it in April. You're up against Tears of the Kingdom.
Isn't that May?
Right. I thought Tears of the Kingdom was in April. Is it May?
I have to look that up. I thought it was May, which will go up against Redfield, actually, I think.
Yeah, listen, Redfall's not... It's going to do well. I'm going to play it. I'm going to enjoy it.
May 12th.
I'm not expecting it to be a grand challenger. Does that make sense? Not this year. Not in a year with potentially 2 Final Fantasies, Starfield, a Legend of Zelda game, and Spider-Man. I'm not expecting Redfall to be a major contender this year. I'm expecting it to be a very fun and enjoyable experience that I'm going to play the shit out of.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we were hearing something, a little bit behind the scenes that, hey, there would be something Starfield, a separate show related even before, they were saying, oh,
Yeah.
so I kind of, maybe like, again, sometime in February, they could start rolling out some info about it, do like a grand, like, re-reveal, whatever it may be. Like you were saying with the Super Bowl too. Let's say they do like a Super Bowl ad for specifically Starfield, and then at the end Game Pass, they do a little separate direct for Starfield, and then they'll have a release date, and then they'll say a little bit over a month from now, Starfield's out. That would be nice.
Yeah. April has Hogwarts Legacy, which is really interesting because I don't know that the game's going to be good or not, but there's a lot of Harry Potter fans, and I think it's going to sell really well.
Yeah, he'll do okay, I think.
I have no opinion on whether the game will be good or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to play it. I don't really care about Harry Potter.
Oh, neither do I, but yeah, I hear you.
But that's a very interesting, because that's going to be a big launch, period. Whether people are happy with that or not. Do they launch it in the same month as that? Now, granted, I think it's coming out very early in April, so they could launch it in mid-April and be fine. Because that is a game where they need to place it exactly the right spot, where they have basically the entire, they control the the news cycles.
Oh,
right?
they're
Because they're gonna want
saying,
that classic knowledge
chat's
news
saying
cycles.
Hogwarts is out next month.
February,
Hogwarts is out next month. Hogwarts Legacy's the last gen versions is April. Yeah, they could launch it in April then. The only thing notable in April that I'm seeing that strikes my fancy right now is Dead Island 2.
All right.
And Dead Island 2 is I throw that in the same category as Redfall.
You see, I could see a game like Minecraft Legends getting slotted into April. Something
Yeah,
like
I could
that.
see that coming out like in February as well. Like that's gonna be a $30, $40 game. That's not gonna be a full price game. It's gonna be just like Dungeons. I could see that just releasing. I could see that shadow dropping. Like that's not. Does that even gonna have a physical version?
Of what? Sorry.
Because the Minecraft Legends, have they announced a physical version for it yet?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because that's one of those weird games where like I don't know where to place it because it's not trying to be a direct competitor to stuff. It is, in all essence, an indie game being developed inside a large studio or within a large organization, right? Just like Pentiment and Grounded were. Their scope is not the same as a huge game. Now I'm very excited for that game. I'm gonna be playing that with one of my friends. He watched it for the free, so he didn't even hear about it until like last night I was talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna play that with you." And so it is the slotting of these games that's really weird because Microsoft has this problem where they had most of their third party delayed out of last year alongside their first party content for Game Pass.
Well,
and so Game Pass is crowded.
keep in mind.
Signed those deals.
Mm-hmm. Keep in mind too, Crusader. Not to interrupt, but we still have games that have very vague release windows on them, such as GoldenEye.
Arabin?
GoldenEye.
Yeah, GoldenEye. I don't think that Age 4 is going to hit the first half of the year. In fact, it was never committed for. The Age 2 was committed for January, and then Age 4 was in 2023. That's going to be second.
Well, they can
half.
spread that one out. It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal.
GoldenEye doesn't have a date, and then there's one other I think that doesn't have a date, or doesn't have a. No, it was Age 4. So that's interesting, and like I said, they signed a ton of deals last year that got delayed into this year that were announced for last year or even years before. Because like, wasn't Stalker 2 originally announced for 2021?
I believe so.
Yeah, and so like that's a deal that they've already essentially paid for. Or earmarked for.
Look at Darktide as well, the console version.
Yeah, Darktide will be here sometime.
On the cards.
And so I really do think that there is going to be more density this year because they've already paid for a lot of third-party stuff, and they have a new. They essentially have they're on a different budget, right? They're on a different fiscal year budget, and so the question is, what do you do with that money? You know, because you don't really license more stuff because the stuff you already licensed is coming, you know, these quarters. The stuff that you already had prepared for to launch for last year is coming these quarters. What do you do with it? Do you just not spend it? Do you invest it somewhere else within Microsoft, and then Xbox just loses that money for the 2 quarters? Do they invest in larger titles? Do they send it to other quarters and make those quarters denser too? It's a really interesting situation that Game Pass is in that there are gaps, and but it's going to be more dense because of things that happened last year. And like I'm all for that. I'm really excited. There's going to be so much to play. It's not that I'm upset at the stuff that I'm not going to have anything to play. That's not why I want them to be more concise with when stuff's coming out. I want them to be more concise when stuff's coming out because it's not always going to be this dense, right? And so it is very interesting. There is a lot of stuff coming, and it is. I do not envy them having to figure out what to not overlap where, because Forza can launch alongside something else. Like Forza is such a different beast from the other games. It'll attract a ton of people, but it's not gonna cannibalize like Redfall's player base, I don't think. Except for maybe like some of the people on this panel, but like we're not average people.
Well, to be fair, they have enough different genres that, you know, that it's not going to see a lot of overlap like you're suggesting.
Yeah. And so like it's really complicated. I'm shocked we're not hearing about more of those third parties. I wonder if like there's going to be like a third party developer direct where like they show off things like Erebon and Flintlock and Wo Long and some of the other games that are coming to Game Pass Day 1 in the next couple quarters.
It's either that or they're just going to do like, you know.
We don't have dates for those, but they're supposed to be coming out in the first half of the year. Like Silk Song, it's supposed to be coming out in the first half of the year. We don't know when though. So that like there's a lot of stuff that we just haven't had updates on from either the third party or Microsoft, because Microsoft essentially has the advertising rights for them because they're in Game Pass, right? So like really weird situations all around. That's why I expected this event to be a little bit bigger than just the parties that it is. I'm happy that they straight up just said what's happening in this event, and I'll be very happy to watch the event, and it'll be great. But it is like, okay, you have a lot of third-party content coming, though. Are you just going to make them fend for themselves? Are you going to have, like, several events like this? Like, what's going on? I'm very curious to see how it all works out.
Well, I guess we'll find out with that. Yeah, I mean, you do raise quite a few good points there. We'll see how Microsoft, Xbox communicates that, whether it be more of their first-party titles or, again, third-party. I would certainly like to learn more about a whole bunch of them. Guys, any other comments, concerns, talking points with regards to the Developer Direct? Yes, no? All right. But either way, guys, I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of you guys in the chat are, on the panel too. I just want to see some games. I want to see updates on them and get some firm release dates. I just really hope, as Crusader was suggesting, that we get like more concise stuff from them. So yeah, either way, looking forward to it. And we don't have to wait long either. It's about a week and a half away, January 25th. And yeah, I'm super stoked. So we'll definitely keep you covered on that. Let's see here. The chat. Oh, Dots. Invader, open up more magic packs. Haha. Yeah, hey, don't you worry, Dots. I got a video dropping tomorrow for Ikoria, Lara Behemoths. Opened up a pre-release pack of those. As well, I got a whole bunch of others actually sitting in front of me that I'm going to do a video for. Is the Brothers War, Urza's Iron Alliance pre-release. So you got a few things to look forward to on that end. But yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the talk tonight, then please, hey, thumb up this video and share it out, as we would love to have more and more people just coming in and getting a discussion going in the chat and just listening to us babble on and on about Xbox talk. But on that note, guys, we will move over to the second and final topic tonight. We are going to talk about more drama regarding Microsoft, Activision, and the whole FTC case. Well, now it appears that other big players have chimed in expressing their concerns. Reports are now coming out stating that both Google and NVIDIA have joined Sony in expressing concerns over the acquisition, claiming Microsoft would be, quote unquote suppressing competitors. I mean, we will dive into this. I mean, I guess they feel that there would be an unfair advantage if this were to go through. Well, I got a lot to say about Nvidia on this one, Crusader, but what are your thoughts on this latest development? Do Google and Nvidia have a point here, or are they just, again, like just trying to get in here for their best interests?
So, do they have a point? That would be up to their lawyers to actually argue, right? Like, I don't know the exact arguments they're trying to make. I know Nvidia specifically said that like they're not opposed to the deal going through. They believe that there are remediations that would allow it to go through. They basically want to make sure Call of Duty is going to be available on Nvidia GeForce Now still, which is fair. I get that. That is a huge part of Nvidia's business right now is their GeForce Now, and I believe it is currently available to play on GeForce Now. Someone check that for me. I don't even know where to look at like what games you could stream on GeForce Now. But I do, to a point, understand NVIDIA's side of it. They are essentially the only other cloud subscription service of note anymore, and they want to keep access to some of the largest games in gaming. That being said, Google's argument is dumb as shit, considering like they pulled out of the space entirely. Now, granted, when they pulled out of the space, they claimed they pulled out of the space because of the Bethesda deal. I don't know if anyone saw those articles.
That was really odd, really odd.
Well, they claimed that they didn't think that they could compete in the gaming space with Microsoft owning Bethesda, which is, I mean, they have the historical arguments to take to court to make that, like, they were like, look, we've been saying this for a while. That being said, there's also, on the other side of the fence, third parties like Take-Two and EA who are like, this could be fucking great for us, because we can get we can fill that void if things were to leave other platforms. We can come in and fill the void, and our games might sell significantly better, which is true. That could also happen. So it's a very interesting argument. Google is full of crap, absolutely. Nvidia, not as much. Nvidia has a semi-reasonable argument to be made here, and they're also not making the argument to block the deal. Nvidia specifically is quoted with saying that there are remediations that would make them happy with it, and they're basically the remediations that Microsoft's putting forth. But Nvidia is saying like, look, no, we want everything Microsoft's saying in writing, and guaranteed to us as well. Does that make sense? So, I cannot blame any company for coming forward and wanting to protect their business as good as possible in a time where, because like this deal is probably scaring a lot of executives at a lot of companies because it's huge. No one will really. Tim Sweeney of Epic has stated that like their Epic is neither for nor against it because they have no idea how to calculate what's going to actually happen when the deal closes. It could be a great thing. It could be a bad thing for their business. They don't know, right? And so he's publicly stated that he's neither for nor against it. That he's watching cautiously and giving regulators the best information that he can. That was in relation to people thinking that one of the responses that the CMA published was written by Epic, and it was not. So, if the companies feel that this could be a problem, they're going to fight it. Google is most likely fighting this because, like, hey, you're going to own Candy Crush and you could force other stores to open on our phone, or you could force a grand openness, the likes that we haven't seen in mobile phones that we haven't before, because Microsoft's talked about wanting to do that.
Again,
so Google is obviously against this, not because of Call of Duty or anything like that. They might frame it as that, but they're against it because they don't want their mobile game, their mobile storefront market to be impacted.
Well, of course.
That's their argument.
Well, yeah.
Or their real reason of fearing it.
Oh yeah, and they make up a pretty significant chunk, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah, I'm shocked Apple hasn't commented on it. Apple has more to lose potentially with this. Microsoft's talked about wanting to, like they want open app stores and they want to release their content, just kind of like openly everywhere. And they think that like a platform or the hardware platform should be like different from the storefront platform with mobile devices. And I am inclined to very much agree with that. It's why I don't buy Apple phones. But when it comes to Microsoft, they're gonna control some weight in the mobile scene because they're gonna have Candy Crush, and they're gonna be able to. Microsoft's a company that likes to kind of influence and form legislation by acting as the good guy in the United States. They try to do all the time. It works a lot of the time too. Like they're doing it with the unions right now. We talked about that I think last week.
Yeah.
And they have been for the last 2 years, actually since slightly before this deal was signed, they created this whole open stores and like open platforms like schema. I don't know if anyone has seen that. Where they talked about their wishes for how any kind of storefront should work in a mobile phone or computer environment. And we know that they've lobbied to Congress about how that stuff should work, and we know that they want to open a store on Android and Apple phones. So I'm not shocked that Google is against the deal because, I mean, it's going to actually impact their duopoly in mobile phones. And so I think that Google's argument is full of crap, but I completely understand why, the why behind them trying to weigh in on it.
Well, I understand more so Google than NVIDIA, because NVIDIA, I mean, they tried to really, really capture their market not too long ago, right? And they had a deal for who was it again that they had a deal with? ARM, yeah, that's what it was. ARM.
They were trying to buy ARM, and they would have controlled like 50-60% of microprocessing like patents in the world.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Like that's actually a national security issue. Mm-hmm. Microsoft wasn't very against that deal, by the way, because it would have very much impacted the Surface. And Microsoft publicly wrote against that deal.
Okay.
So yeah, Microsoft did a bunch. Apple did. A bunch of tech companies did.
Well, to be fair,
you want to talk about a scary deal if that had gone through. That's an actually scary deal if that had gone through.
Yeah.
So, I'm not surprised NVIDIA is speaking against Microsoft acquiring this here because they spoke against them there too.
I'm
That's
not.
Another thing.
They're just giant hypocrites.
Yeah. And that being said, again, NVIDIA had said that they're like. Microsoft was pretty clear that there was no way that NVIDIA should have been able to buy ARM as well when they were discussing that. NVIDIA was more concise here in saying that there is very easy routes that could be signed to allow this deal to go through. It just can't go through plain and dry is basically what NVIDIA said. All
right. Yeah.
So I'm actually going to drop now. I'm not feeling too good, so okay. I'm going to drop off tonight. It was great talking to everyone.
All right, sounds good, Crusader.
So, unless anyone wants to say something like respond to what I said, I will stay until that. But I am gonna drop.
All right, well that's no problem, pal. We'll move on, but you take care of yourself, and I hope you start feeling better soon.
Yeah, see y'all.
All right, have a good one. All right, fellas. Anybody want to comment on what piggyback off of what Crusader was saying? MLD, what are your thoughts on this? Because again, I personally find it a little hypocritical of both these companies going after chiming in with against Microsoft here. A little bit of tit for tat, especially NVIDIA. Again, like Crusader was saying, they were trying to corner a market, and they had some antitrust going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about the NVIDIA side of it. I mean, I know they have GeForce Now. I know a couple of people that use that, and maybe in that regard, I think they have every right to ask if this will impact their business over there. So that strikes me as more of a concern rather than a stern objection. So that's not really noteworthy in my opinion. I think Google, however, is just being petty. I think they've no real reason to be voicing a concern other than just being salty about Stadia. Like, I really don't get it. I guess Xbox's mobile efforts, they want to have like a more free mobile app kind of kind of rules and laws in place, and that could impact Apple and Android. So there's that. And then of course I think they could be putting the blame on Xbox for Stadia's failures, when really it was all just them. It was their business model that was a failure. It wasn't nothing to do with the market or their how big the corporation is. I feel like if they put more effort into it, they weren't so shy about spending and listened to feedback, I think Stadia could have been a little bit better. But I really don't see any real reason why they should be objecting to this. This isn't their fight. Like, I get PlayStation. They want to protect their interests. Xbox is their primary competitor. So that makes sense to me. It's not a strong argument, in my opinion, but at least it makes sense to me. Google complaining makes it just... I can't understand it. I don't get it. But silver lining, if these are the primary complaints, the primary cases that come forward against the acquisition, it's not a strong case. So I think Xbox lawyers, Microsoft lawyers, they're gonna have no problem just sidestepping this stuff, countering, doing their thing. So it's just another minor talking point that won't really amount to much, in my opinion. Yeah, well, I think most the big concerns are not this news. It's more the CMA and the EU with concerns about cloud and Game Pass. Not so much Call of Duty, because that's been addressed like so many times. But I don't get it. This is pointless, in my opinion. It's baseless. It's just a little bit petty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just to tack on to what you're saying, MLD, NVIDIA, again, they tend to boast, of course, about their GeForce Now cloud gaming service. I know recently they had said something, they were boasting about having 5 times the performance of the Xbox Series X graphically, going on about full ray tracing and latency and all that, which, I mean, everything sounds, I can understand them obviously wanting to be protective of that. But it's just mainly to protect their interests when it comes to cloud gaming, because I guess they see themselves as a big player there. And from what I've heard, I mean, I've heard some good things about their service, to be honest.
Well, there you go. I mean, it sounds like you just said a great argument in favor of the acquisition. Because if they're doing, if what you say is true, all their boasts and claims, sounds like the cloud market is ripe with some solid players. It's not just regulated to Google or PlayStation. You got Nvidia here doing their own thing, and Xbox is gonna make them do even better if they are allowed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what I see.
Yeah, no, that's a Google. On the other hand, I mean, obviously they were, I don't know. To me, they just didn't have enough teeth for the for gaming altogether. I mean, it's a shame too, because again, they had some interesting game deals in the pipeline. They just never committed to anything. They bought a studio or two, shut them down. It's a real shame overall. It just shows a lack of commitment on Google's part, and but Xbox seems to have benefited from them quite a bit with the addition of Kim Swift and a few other personnel. Amazing. I totally agree with you. A great mind in the gaming scene, and she's overseeing some really interesting projects. I mean, again, she's rumored to be helping out with Kojima's project and a few others. So, lots going on.
Between that and High on Life, that used to be like a Stadia deal, and Xbox benefited from that, picked up the pieces from that. So, and that turned out pretty well, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I've been enjoying the heck out of High on Life personally. So, really surprised at that game. I mean, I have the gameplay going on now. I've had it going on for the past couple of shows. Don't worry, guys, I'll change it up for the next one. But damn, I mean, I've just been having a really good time with it. I mean, the gunplay's fun, and there's a lot more there than what I thought there would be. So, Let's see, Shockley, buddy. I mean, what's your thoughts on this whole, again, Nvidia and Google getting into the Activision fight with the FTC? Do you think that they make some good, bring up some good points, concerns here, or are they just kind of, doing a tit for tat thing, going against Microsoft because Microsoft have chimed in? Like, do these companies really have a lot to be afraid of with the acquisition by Microsoft?
I don't think so in reality. I think just more that they don't want to lose their certain, like in Google's case, lose like any type of, stranglehold that they already have, um, you know, between them and Apple, because obviously they each have kind of like the monopoly of their stores. Um, so they don't want really Microsoft coming in and taking up probably, one of the biggest, or not, if not the biggest, you know, mobile piece of the market there with King. As it's a big player in that market. Um, and then in just gaming in general, something that they're trying to do with their own model failed and bailed out pretty early. I think in Nvidia's case, I think they're just like kind of what Crusader was kind of getting into. Of they just want to make sure that they're like giving a concern, but mainly just making sure, hey, okay, make sure we still have access to that content, these games, because I think everybody was talking about in how Microsoft like tried to block their deal. And the main thing there was I think Nvidia had what, like 90, I think someone was saying like 90% with, if they acquired like ARM and had Nvidia with their own.
It was pretty
chipsets,
significant. It was pretty significant.
Yeah,
maybe
so
like 60
it's
to
definitely
70.
not
Yeah.
the same comparison. So I think in their case, it's just like anybody else that's throwing their bone in the mix of like, yeah, make sure go through all this, that they're not, they're meeting stipulations of like making sure that content's still available to competitors and everyone, like nothing really changes with it. And that's what Microsoft's pretty much said all the way through, like, hey, you're still going to get Call of Duty, these like mega IP that could disrupt parts of the market, just because how much power they hold. So if they did make Call of Duty exclusive, like that could sway quite a few people. Or if they like, hey, did something with AMD with their Call of Duty, they could make deals like that could hurt like Nvidia, just or disrupt the PC market and stuff like that. So I think they just had some basic concerns there. Or I think more so Google, it's them just trying to see if they can in any way disrupt and mess up probably Microsoft's like play trying to get into the mobile market. So they probably see that as somewhat of a threat to, I don't know, their revenue, or how Microsoft might innovate in that market or change things up, being over King. So but we'll see there. But I mean, it's weird that they're just now coming in like late in the game, because like you've had all the other players through months, like Sony and them going back and forth, and then it just seems like this one came out of left field when that's when all this FTC stuff was coming about, of like, hey, we're just gonna, like Microsoft was saying, hey, we're gonna just go through with this deal, and they'll have to sue it, take us to federal court or whatever. So it kind of seemed like it was out of left field of why now? Why weren't they voicing this earlier when everybody else was, like when Sony was? Now it seems like Sony's kind of gone quiet, or just kind of accepted, like, okay, time to just, we're not going to be able to really stonewall this or really tip the scales in any way. So, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Some fair points there, Eric. Moving over to 50 Cent, Mr. Centurion, buddy. You've heard what the other guys have had to say about this. What's your take on Google and NVIDIA getting involved here? I mean, obviously Sony was one of the big players to chime in first, and now you got them. What do you think about their concerns?
Well, if I could start off with saying this whole thing has turned into a giant, everybody's trying to shove each other out of the spotlight when it comes to this whole situation, because let's face it, this whole deal brought a lot of eyes and attention to the gaming industry. I mean, I even saw it on freaking Fox News that when Microsoft came out and said they were going to try to purchase Activision, like even the news agencies started talking about it. Not the internet talking about it. The actual freaking television showed me a damn Activision logo, and someone was like, Microsoft is trying to buy Activision. So there's definitely a lot of attention and limelight from this deal. We all know Sony's stance on it. Google is probably more than likely trying to take the stance for protection for the Android market and what they represent to mobile. I feel that their arguments for cloud gaming are very mute. I mean, let's just face it, Google, you screwed over a lot of developers like Typhoon Studios, who made a great game, Journey to the Savage Planet, and they completely bought that studio, shut down Stadia, and now Typhoon Studios is no more, which is really sad. We saw other studios that were going to completely get screwed over by Stadia. Luckily, Squanch Games was able to team up with Xbox and give us High on Life, like you guys mentioned. Google, it's very interesting that they're even going to attempt to try to talk about cloud gaming, especially when one of the CEOs of Google came out during a presentation for the cloud gaming, and his opening line was, "I'm not much of a gamer." That's the guy who's making claims and decisions for Stadia, so good luck with that situation. And then we've got, of course, NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA, they're the guys with a stake in it for cloud gaming, which is, yes, there's players in cloud gaming. Right now, it's actually a very small niche market. It's niche in the fact that everybody prides themselves on having hardware to play these games, whether it's owning an Xbox, a PlayStation 5, or a PC with a really cool graphics card in it. There is people out there that take advantage of GeForce Now and other streaming services like what Xbox has to offer. But for the most part, everybody prides themselves on having localized hardware to be able to play games. So right now, streaming is in a little bit of an infantile market. I could see why NVIDIA is at least throwing their hat in the ring, their 2 cents in the jar, on the fact that they want to obviously keep access to Call of Duty, but for some reason, I think it's so funny that the world is so hyperbolically focused on Call of Duty when literally there is another popular game that it's seen better years. We'll just say that. But over on the Blizzard side with World of Warcraft, that's another game that NVIDIA has mentioned and talked about not wanting to lose access to, because there is a large player base for that game. And that's where I could at least see why they're doing it. Do I think it's dumb? Yes. Like, why didn't you say something sooner? This whole incident, like, I think it's so funny that literally like I said the other week, where Alphabet souped out, and now all of a sudden the actual Alphabet Inc., as everybody refers to them, all of a sudden comes out and throws their 2 cents in the situation. And now we've got Microsoft versus the CMA, the FTC, the EU, and Sony, and NVIDIA, Google. I knew that there was going to be a lot of people that were going to really want to radiate their opinions about this deal, because literally this would give Microsoft in my opinion, a pretty damn good edge in gaming and cloud. This is Activision Blizzard we're talking about.
Mhm.
With King, obviously we all mentioned King makes up a big portion of the mobile gaming network. With Blizzard and Activision though, are they the biggest thing in gaming? No. We all know about Embracer Group and other individuals that are even bigger, but I would like to say that there's a lot of history, pedigree, and word of mouth associated with Blizzard and Activision for some of the titles that they've given us through the years of operation. Titles like Diablo, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and obviously we could say Call of Duty, but that game has been completely mentioned in every argument. There is a lot more games to that company than Call of Duty. God, we could probably go on this all day, but I'm not wanting to drag it out.
No,
For
that's
me,
all right.
for me, it's more like, if I could just be personally blunt once again,
Sure.
we're so hyperbolically focused on Microsoft needs to do this, Microsoft needs to do that, my PlayStation 5 is better than your Xbox, blah, 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 console war bullshit. You get the idea. Why can we not be vocally heard when it comes to keeping companies like Google out of gaming? Because we've seen what they do to studios, platforms, and gaming in general. To them, they don't give a crap. The consumer is nothing more than an obstacle in the way of them making money. And they don't care about our wants and needs as much as Microsoft proves that they care. They're coming out and they're giving us a direct. They're trying to give us some meat on the bone for us to feed on. They're not going to just totally put us out, into the wind, the elements, and just let us survive on whatever. That's what Google's been doing. And we've got other players like Tencent and even Amazon that are all chomping at the bit to get a hold of companies like Activision Blizzard. And that's where I feel gamers, the consumer for gaming, needs to be more vocal about things that matter than things that really honestly shouldn't be taking up that much of your passion for gaming. Because at the end of the day, Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and Steam, we'll even throw Steam in there, really have shown that they really want to push gaming forward, and they actually see the consumer as a part of that equation to keep going forward. And the consumer is not seen as an obstacle. Where companies like Google and maybe even in Nvidia, because of what they've done with their graphic cards market and how they've completely screwed with graphic cards pricing, it just that's where I feel the gaming consumer needs to be more vocal on keeping companies like that out of gaming, so at least that we still are able to feel passionate about gaming, because I really wouldn't want it to turn into an absolute, just money hungry crap show.
Okay, I got to play devil's advocate to that. On theory, I do agree with you more or less, but I think maybe I'm more adopting the stance that everybody deserves at least one chance. Because I think, in 2001 or 2000, when Microsoft was saying they want to get into the console market, I feel a lot of people back then were just as skeptical. Like, what does Microsoft know about gaming consoles? Like, why do they have to come in? But it took them a while, trial and error, but here they are, and they're here to stay. And, we all like Xbox and what they're trying to do now for the brand. So I think they passed the test. They made the cut. If Stadia had actually a decent business model, I think people would have gave Google a chance. despite Google's past history of just canceling things. But they messed up. So in my opinion, they had their one shot. They blew it. Okay, you're out.
Exactly. And that's where, like, I'm not saying that not to give a company a chance, but when you have a CEO come out on stage and he is giving a presentation for cloud gaming and his opening sentence is, I am not a gamer. What the hell are you doing up there? Get somebody that is a gamer up on stage. I want to feel some excitement.
Now, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to defend PlayStation here. Jim Ryan, he's also not a gamer, and he represents a pretty successful brand. So I don't think that particularly matters in that regard. I don't know. It all depends on the business model and the people you have actually working on the product.
Well, see, that's where I just said that they should have had somebody up on stage to make it exciting. Jim Ryan, when he doesn't have the ability to give those exciting times, don't get me wrong, there's been some times that I just feel like, why is he up here? But at least when he is up on stage, he's not up there basically blatantly telling me he's not a gamer. And I would at least just say Jim Ryan feels the passion for the PlayStation brand on, I want PlayStation to be successful. He understands that he has a very rabid fan base that is passionate about the brand, and not at really any time has he not really wanted to appease those fans. Don't get me wrong. Every company makes their stumbles. It's more like what Stadia did. It was like Stadia released, and then all of a sudden Google, whoever was in charge of Stadia, started pulling developers off of Stadia from working, and then they slowly started shutting the doors for gaming development. And that's where it felt like they wanted people to come flocking to the brand on day one, and if it wasn't there day one, they weren't interested. When they didn't do what PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox has done, and that is grow and nurture the brand through trials and tribulations. It just seemed that Stadia, Google was completely not interested in trying to make it grow. If you didn't show up on day one, they weren't interested.
Yep. Again, they had their shot. So I think their reputation now is just permanently shot. Whereas Amazon, they're playing it a little more safe. Like, they're flying under the radar mostly. So they still remain to be seen. Like, we'll see if they actually put more actual money into it. So I think the jury's still out on them. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, guys, we're approaching, like, I think it was last year, like January 18th, if I'm not mistaken. So we're like a couple of days away from like the year anniversary of the announcement of the buyout.
Oh boy, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God, time goes.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Time really flies, and we've already seen so many different developments from this case, this acquisition. It's pretty insane. I mean, I knew that it was gonna be a long haul. I just didn't realize that it would have so much baggage and drama attached to it. But here we are. Lots to talk about, certainly. Some for the right reasons, some maybe not. But either way, it's been an interesting journey with this whole Activision Blizzard King acquisition. In any case, again, I'm wondering when this is going to close. Hopefully by this summer, right? But and we're going to be hearing some cases from the different federations, different commissions, obviously FTC, CMA, and so on. Europe. It's going to be interesting. Guys, do you have anything else to add to the whole Google NVIDIA thing? Yes, no? All right, guys, I think that about does it for tonight's show. Yeah, I mean, really good chat tonight, honestly. a lot of the gentlemen on the show we had a good discussion tonight. From everybody on the panel, we went over Xbox finally announcing a new showcase of sorts, and both Nvidia and Google claiming on, they're all chiming in on the whole Microsoft and FTC case. Again, I had a really good time tonight, as I hope everyone who tuned in did. Please give the show a like, share it out, and sub to the channel and all that good stuff, because, I'm not lying, guys, when I say this. We would love to have you guys coming around more and just seeing some new faces too. So share it out and sub. Also, remember to hit the bell for notifications when we're live, because, much like the algorithm, sometimes YouTube can be very weird when it comes to the whole notification thing. So hit the bell, guys, to be notified when we are live. Next, guys, I will go over to the outros, and I will start off with Eric Shockley. Buddy, hey, good stuff tonight. Where can all these fine people follow you at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. And good show tonight, guys. Definitely, if you're in football, watch that Bengals play that just happened. That was ridiculous. But yeah, good show, and then hopefully we'll find out more. Definitely excited to check out some of the JRPGs dropping this week in Game Pass. Persona 4 Golden and P3 Portable. And then hopefully we get some news here soon on some of this FTC stuff, as well as I wonder when they're going to show some stuff for Wolong, since obviously that's going to be dropping March 3rd. But maybe that'll have its own little promotion, since I'm pretty sure Microsoft has the marketing to that. So maybe they'll announce a show for that.
Maybe not even a show. Maybe they'll just have
their
own Xbox Wire stuff, and then drop trailers on social media kind of thing. I could see them doing that with a couple of third parties. So
yeah.
All right, yeah, cool. Good stuff. No, I like you, Shock. I'm looking forward to seeing some more game trailers and gameplay. Moving on here, General MLD, buddy. Hey, love the energy tonight, pal. Had some great points. Where can everybody follow you?
Thank you. You guys can follow me at MLD Ghost on Twitter. Gamertag is GhostMLD. So overall, though, I think Xbox has started off the year on the right foot. Some transparency, much appreciated, and I'm just looking forward to that direct, and hopefully it's the first of many.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got enough content now that we could certainly have a couple of directs spread out through the year and be happy and not even count E3 there. So, hey, believe me, I'm looking forward to this one. And let's see, last but certainly not least in my books, Centurion, pal. Hey, I loved your thoughts tonight. Had some great commentary. Where can all these fine people follow you?
Oh, definitely, it was a great show tonight. Thank you to everybody in the chat who listened. For those interested in finding me, you can find me at Centurion1307, Xbox Live, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also locate me on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood and the rest of the crew over there. And you could also find me right after Gaming Beyond the Box right here on TXR Podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hey, great people over there at Gaming Beyond the Box. Love Wilmy and the entire gang there. And guys, also check out Centurion's channel. Really awesome stuff there. He has some really good stuff with Atomic Heart coming up too. Check out his Atomic Heart video from a year ago. Definitely worth a watch. But with that said, guys, naturally you guys can check out my content on YouTube over at Invader Gaming. I've been doing some high on life achievement guides and experimenting with some magic card unboxings, as I was talking about with Dots earlier. Just doing some different things, trying out some new stuff, and I will have some reviews out soon too. But lots going on. I'm trying to catch up. But with that said, guys, excellent show. And hey, we're looking forward to the next one as per usual. See you, everyone. Peace.